Good evening and welcome to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. And what fantastic action we have coming your way on Saturday. We've got 7 races we're going to be previewing on day 2 of the Coral Gold Cup Festival at Newbury. We're also going to be heading up to Newcastle for 2 races where we see the return, hopefully, of Constitution Hill in the fighting 5th hurdle. And we also see L'Homme Press, the Brown Advisor and Cheltenham Gold Cup contender, turn up in the Rehearsal Handicap Chase. As always, this is on YouTube. We are live. You can subscribe to the channel down below, like and comment on this video. I'll try and read out as many comments as possible. On this week's show, in an hour and a half's time, we've got England playing, haven't we? I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that, and that's a small matter. We've got the big matter of trying to find you plenty of weekend winners, and of course, I can't be doing that alone. I'm joined by Mr. Paul Kealy. Kills, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Great to be in the studio
Great meeting, the Gold Cup meeting.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be sat here with you, to be
Have
honest.
you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
yeah.
I also said it's always been a pleasure. So
You weird chap.
let's head over to Tom Segal. Tom, it's been a long time. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Sam. How are you, my friend? Yeah, all good. Got the class presenters back now. Got rid of the old crap and all, haven't we? And we got you back. Great news.
I'm sure Ross will be back next week, Tom. You watched all the action there at Newbury today. Anything catch the eye? Jet Powered, he was really impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jet Powered was good. I thought it was the times were pretty quick on that chase course, weren't they? They nearly broke the track record, I'm told, for the 2-mile chase, or one of those races anyway. So the times are pretty quick. I think he'll throw some water on tonight. Otherwise,
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's funny days we live in, isn't it? Because they've had 27 mil of rain since Monday. And they've been watering every day, and the times are still lightning fast. It actually says on the BHA website, selective watering planned for Friday evening. I gather they'll select to water the entire chase course because they were quick, weren't they?
Yeah, wasn't it fantastic?
Yeah, he said, I watched the interview with the Clark, and he said he was going to put 5 to 8 mils on the straight, just down the straight on the chase course. So it'll be quite quick still.
And how good was it, Kills, to see Champ and Paisley Park at the age of 10 fighting out at the finish?
It was
race.
fantastic. I'd actually got rather involved in Champ, so I wasn't as overjoyed with how it finished as how it was finishing until they went past the line. But no, what 2 great old warriors, aren't they?
They are indeed, yeah. Hopefully we see more from them later in the season. I'm sure Champ's going to be a leading contender going into the Stayers Hurdle. And David Stevens, Coral sponsoring the 2-day meeting there at Newbury. What a fantastic meeting to be involved with. I'm sure you're heading to the course tomorrow.
Good evening, Sam. Good evening, gents. Yeah, really looking forward to it. First year of our sponsorship of, obviously, this famous meeting and this famous race tomorrow, the Coral Gold Cup. We brought the Gold Cup name back into it. Today, you're absolutely right, was brilliant. The Champ Paisley Park race is everything that the reason why jump racing is so popular. 2 great horses, split by the width of the track, but the important bit, just split by that nostril that ensured Kills' bet went the right way. Well done, Tom. 2 tips today in the Racing Post, both winning. That's the sort of form we want to keep you in. And you mentioned Jet Powered there, Sam. He's an 8-to-1 shot for the Supreme Novices, which thought seemed plenty short enough, but I think that might be the biggest around 8-to-1 if you fancied that one. Could he be the next one off the sort of what just seems to be this prodigious talent line down at Nicky Henderson's of unearthing one of these stars every season?
Absolutely. Facile Vega, I think, currently with Coral, the 2-to-1 favourite there. But Nicky Henderson's got a smart one in his hands with Jet Powered 8-to-1 with Coral. And we've got plenty of prize boosts probably this evening, David. There's one that's going to be going from 5:30 till 6:30 this evening. Should we get that one up on the screen?
Absolutely. Obviously, we'll talk about the Coral Gold Cup in more detail later on, but our first price boost that will go for the duration of this live show is either La Milos or Remastered, and both have been favoured at some point this week, but either of these 2 to win was 3-to-1, is now out to 4-to-1. And we should just mention, not just a big couple of days for us at Newbury, but it's a big Sunday for the Coral Racing Club as well, because it's the return of the Mac. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing, but Annie Mac, she's back. Faces just 3 rivals, her old rivals Ambella and Riviere de Tel from the Gordon Elliott yard amongst them, though. But 10 lucky owners, surely only 4 runners. Surely she's going to pick up some decent prize money. Whatever happens up there, they'll get that, obviously. So, yeah, you can still join the Coral Racing Club. Annie Mac back on Sunday, 2 o'clock in the listed mares race at Carlisle.
There we go, as you can see on screen there. Do get involved with the Coral Racing Club. And we have an offer here. It's Black Friday here, and we've got an offer. It's the Racing Post Members Club Ultimate subscription for racing fans here. Get unlimited access to the Racing Post digital newspaper from 9 p.m. every evening, getting exclusive tools for your form study. You can subscribe today using the code BLACK22 and pay just £10 per month for your first 3 months. You can see all the details for that down in the video description. Let's get the market up for race 1. Then, like I say, we've got plenty of races to get through, and we kick things off with the 12.15. It's the Play Coral Racing Super Series for 3 mares Novices Hurdle. It's a listed race over 2 mile, half a furlong. The betting looks like this currently. Coral Lucia is 6-4 favourite. Poetic Music 5-2. Carol's Pass is 6-1. She's a Saint 8-1. Letson Lady 10-1. Rosie Red Rum 14-1. And Autumn Return, the outside of the lot, at 20-1. Lucia's the favourite here, Kill. Was actually sired by 2016 Sussex Stakes winner, the Gurkha, which is fairly unusual. But she was very impressive at Sandown back in March in a listed bumper. And look, if she can jump a hurdle, she could be very smart.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, her bumper form is a fair bit superior to the others who had bumper form in the race for a start. And, you know, we're used to Nicky Henderson unveiling stars at this meeting. He said in his stable tour, I think she's special. Her schooling has been superb. So, you know, there's an awful lot to like. I mean, we don't know, of course. You never know how a horse is going to jump until they actually get on the track. She was, of course, slightly ahead of the runaway Cheltenham bumper winner at the Paddy Power meeting in the betting for that race. Came out because the ground was too quick. Yeah, there's loads to like about her. I wasn't entirely enthused by Poetic Music's Novice Hurdle Devil, a bit scratchy jump in there, and I'm not sure the others are up to much, and you would hope that she's good enough to win this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, short price at 6-4, but look, based on that bump form, you probably think she could be quite smart. And Tom, look, Nicky Henderson unleashed, like we've said already, a good one in Jet Power today, but he could unleash another good one tomorrow in Lucia.
Yeah, absolutely. She has, echo everything Keel says, she was brilliant at Sandown. Really strong at the finish. Poetic Music was pretty good in bumpers. She was 6th in the Cheltenham bumper, wasn't she? I think it was second home of the British. So she's no mug, but like she wasn't that impressive on her debut jumping wise. I think two of them are probably quite a bit ahead of the rest, if truth be told. I know Carol's Pass has won a few races, but I'd be surprised if she's the level of Lucia or Poetic Music, and I think Lucia will win, and I think if she runs, you never know these days. I think 6-4 looks quite a good price to me.
There we go, Lucia for Tom. And David Stevens, what a way to kick things off. Hopefully we see a smart one in the opener.
Yeah, look, it's all pretty boring. It's been well covered. She comes with a big reputation for a trainer that, as Kill says, loves to unleash a smart one here, as we saw with Jet Powered. And it's actually been very well back 2-1 early on, now into 6-4. Something like Letterston Lady's got a bit of experience, stepping up hugely in class if you tried to push me to something at a bigger price. But yeah, it looks like another one for Mr. Henderson, and that 6-4, I guess, will probably only go one way.
There we go. Okay, so Lucia for you then, Kills. That's the one.
Yes, definitely.
And Tom, you're with Lucia as well, 6-4.
Yeah, I think she'll win.
There we go. And David Stevens making it a full house, yeah?
You've just got us all agreeing, Sam. What can I say? You just don't divide us like Ross does.
There we go. Look at that. Yeah, 6-4 favourite Lucia. All three of us on board here. We'll have to see if we agree on this next one, which is the 12.45. This is the Coral John Frankham Novices Chase, a Grade 2, just shy of 3 miles, and only the 4 head to post here. Time Hill is the 4-9 favourite here. Well, McFabulous. Oh, we've got 3 head to post now. Jelena Bellows now out of the race. Only just seen that. But McFabulous 15-8 and Mortlack is 25-1. Look at that. We've got another short price favourite here, Tom, in Time Hill. A lot of people fancying this horse as, well, probably the leading British contender for the Brown Advisory come March. Should win this now, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should win it. He's top class staying hurdler, obviously. Placed in a few Cheltenham festivals. Would I ever back him at 4-9? No. I didn't think his jumping was that foolproof on his debut at Exeter. The ground's going to be quicker here. I don't want to back any novice chaser at 4-9. McFabulous is pretty good. He looked good at Exeter the other day, but Harry Cobden was due to ride Jelena Bello. Didn't want to ride McFabulous. I don't know. It's not a race I would touch with a barge pole, but I want Time Hill to win because I've always been a big fan of the horse. If he jumps around, he will. But do I want to back him at 4-9? Most definitely not.
There we go. Okay, 3-horse race, Gills. 4-9 favourite in Time Hill. I mean, it's one that probably most punters are going to be leaving alone. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing when you consider the roll caller here. You've had Native River, Thistlecrack, Elegant Escape, Santini, Next Destination, a Hoist and Your last year, and you got 3 runners, and the 2 main ones are embarking on their chase careers at the age of 8. I doubt either of them will be factors that come the big festivals, to be honest, because I just think they're going at it too late. And like Tom said, I was massively impressed with Time Hill's jumping. He's the best horse in the race, and he does stay. And I don't think McFabulous does, but if they just plod around, he might do him for a bit of speed. Not a race I'm going to bet in, but if you give me a selection, I might have a couple of guys. I might say take a chance and take him on with McFabulous.
Okay, McFabulous potentially, maybe a small go there. And David Stevens, in agreement with the gents, that it's not the best betting race, but we may see an exciting chaser.
Yeah, fortunately there are better betting opportunities to come on tomorrow's card. I thought Time Hill did it nicely enough on his debut at Exeter. He's got the win, he's got the form over the trip, which McFabulous doesn't have. But again, I suppose a bit like Kills, if you were pushing me at the prices, I couldn't back Time Hill at 4-9 McFabulous, but that's no reason to back McFabulous. I think it is one to watch. Absolutely,
completely in agreement there. And looking at the chat, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a no-bet race. Let's get into some more open-looking racing then. Hopefully we'll have plenty discussed in the next, which is the 120, which is the Sir Peter O'Sullivan Memorial Handicap Chase, a Class 2 handicap over the extended 2 3/4 miles. And cap course, last year's winner is the 9-2 favourite Killer Kane, and Zanza 11-2. De Machine is 6-1. Captain Noor 15-2. Dublin 4 15-2. And then we're looking at sort of 8-1, 9-1 bar. Killer Kane, a lot of people will be hoping this horse can do the business. I think a lot of people are hoping for a killer performance from Harry Kane this evening. But we'll talk about the favourite, last year's winner of this race, Kills, cap course, £6 higher than he was last year. He was 7th, I think, the year before. It's actually interesting because he's a 9-year-old, but I think we've only seen him 3 times since 2019.
This is it, and he actually won it the year before. He was 7th as well, so he's a 2-time winner of this. He's owned by J.P. McManus. He runs in the late Sir Peter O'Sullivan's colours, so he's primed for this every single year. He may be a tad high in the handicap now, but he did win it easy last year, and you know he's going to be absolutely 100% fit. There is, however, a horse in this race that
don't say it.
I promised myself that I would never back ever again, and I've fallen for him again. The dreaded Zanza.
We knew this was coming.
The dreaded Zanza. Now, you know, I spent all of last season backing him after he'd finished. After he'd finished a close 3rd in the Haldon Gold Cup, where he finished behind Eldorado Allen and Hitman and was getting just £3 off each of them. Now, to tell you how his career trajectory has gone since I started backing him, those two would now have to give him £28 and £26. It all went pear-shaped. He did run a couple of good races at Cheltenham, to be fair to him. He was second to Cool Cody in what was then the Racing Post Gold Cup at the December meeting, and he was 6th in the Paddy Power. And then he just fell apart after that, but Ian Half dropped to a low rating. He was off 148 when he ran in the Haldon, slightly out of handicap. He's running off 134 now. He bounced back to some sort of form in second last time at Wetherby. And then you have the Newbury form. Now, Tom, I should have tipped Paint the Dream today. Tom did, for the simple case that you have horses that love tracks, and he did it again. He absolutely hacked up, right? And Zanza has run 4 times here. He's won 3 of them. The other one, he finished 6 of 24 in the Betfair Hurdle. He won the 2-mile handicap on this card 2 years ago, doing absolute handsprings. And, you know, he was £4 higher then. So he's spectacularly well handicapped. He's having one last go, and afterwards I promised I would never even mention his name again.
I expected this, to be totally honest, so I'm not surprised that Kills has put up Zanza here. I'm guessing you're not going to be with this one.
I am. I'm
no.
I am. I listen. All I've ever said about Zanza is he just wants Newbury. As simple as that. His 4 best performances, as far as I'm concerned, have all been at Newbury. He just looks a different horse to me at Newbury. I just don't think he's a Cheltenham horse. He doesn't jump well enough round there to ever get in any race. But he's still run some cracking races. I think he's been crying out for a step up in trip. There's 2 mile 6. I just think he's been crying out for that. Philip Hobbs, I saw, had a winner at Foss last today. I just think Zanza's got everything going for him. He'll like the good ground. Cap course, he came for the trials day, didn't he? So obviously, Paul Nicholls, I thought, bought 3 horses over for the trials days. Cap course was one of them. So he is obviously trained for the minute. He's just definitely a danger. I thought the machine would prefer a little bit softer ground. And Captain Orr's interesting because he won this race 2 years ago, and he won it very easily. Very surprised Jack Tudor isn't riding him though. That was the only thing. I know Elias Collier is a very good claimer, £7 claimer, but he's a tough ride, Captain Orr. He doesn't jump that well, and I would have thought that Jack Tudor might have chosen him if that was the case. So I just thought. Zanza had everything going. If he's ever going to win a race, it will be this one. If he doesn't win, I like Keels. If he doesn't win this, then you give up with him until he runs at Newbury again next time, and we have to do it again, and then we all talk about him again. But I think he's got a chance. He's been well backed, hasn't he? I mean, he was 12-1, I think, yesterday. He's now 11-2. I think that's about the right price, and I just think he'll go really well.
Okay, there we go. 11-2. Zanza for Tom as well. We've got Neil Francis in the chat saying no Kills, not Zanza. So people are begging you not to be back in this.
I'm not even going to look at Twitter tonight, I promise you.
David, I don't know what price Kane is to score this evening, but look, he's 11-2 to be Killer Kane to be scoring tomorrow. I mean, who's your fancy in this? Do you like him?
Yeah, look, I'd love him to run well for Connections. They lost a nice novice in the first race at Newbury. Today, best wishes to Brendan Powell. Hopefully Brendan will be okay to take this ride and others tomorrow. Cap Course, as the guys have said, look, he's clearly laid out for this race. Everything points towards this being his Gold Cup, and he heads the market. Zanza, very well backed. The two boys there, not giving up on him. I'm sure plenty will be following them in. I thought one at a price. We are 4 places each way, by the way, an extra place each way here. And Champagne Court, not on the graphic there, but around a 12-1 shot. One here on good ground over hurdles. He's also won over chasing recently. He's pretty versatile, as I say, both hurdling and chasing and ground-wise. And I thought potentially, if the handicapper hasn't got a grip of him again yet, I thought Champagne Court could run a big race, with that extra place each way.
There we go, yeah, 4 places with Coral in this race. Kills, you are going to be with Zanza.
Yeah, I'm with Zanza. I do fear Killer Kane because I think just shy of 3 mile on good ground is perfect for him. Didn't quite get home at Exeter last time, but Zanza has got to win this off a mark of 134.
Right, okay, Zanza for Kills. Tom, you're in agreement with Kills there?
Yeah, I mean, just the Newbury thing, isn't it? I mean, as Kills pointed out, I mean, these horses, they come. I think there's 2 factors. One, they like the track, and 2, trainers target them at races at the track because they know they like the track. So you got the double whammy. I think this would have been the plan for Zanza since he came back into training, probably. And I just think if he jumps, he's got a massive chance. He really has.
Okay. And David Stevens, Champagne Court each way for you, is it?
Yes, that's the one for me, Sam.
Okay, that's what I'm taking. In the chat, we've got Offworld saying I'm backing Zanza and we'll be blaming Kills.
Yep.
We've got Racing Demon saying Cap Course for me. And someone said blaming Kills is a good name for a horse. Let's move on now to the 155 then, which is the Coral Racing Club Handicap Hurdle. 2.5 miles here, Class 2 handicap. Market coming on screen now. And West Balboa and Walking on Air, joint favourites now at 7-2. Peking Rose 13-2. Lord Baddesley, a horse I've been a big fan of, 7-1. Current Mood 8-1 and double figures bar these. Now, Walking on Air was a horse that won really impressively back in January and ended up going a short price for the Ballymore at Cheltenham. Didn't end up running at Cheltenham, but look, we didn't see the best of this horse at Aintree, Tom, it's fair to say, and I think a lot was probably expected on the hype of that run in January, but there's plenty of good horses to make this a race around him.
Yeah, I mean, it's very weak. I'd be surprised if he runs. Let's get the cards on the table straight away. I'd be surprised if Walking on Air runs unless there's a deluge overnight. I mean, it's not like Nicky Henderson to run a horse that he thinks is pretty good if, with a P by its name, first time up in a competition. So I wouldn't be sure he's going to run. He's got question marks against him anyway, isn't he? Because while the second won a race afterwards at I don't know where it was, but the horse he beat at Newbury won afterwards. I don't think the form's anything to write home about. Then he was horrible at Aintree. You're taking a big risk backing him. It's all on reputation rather than substance. West Balboa, I think, has got a better chance. At least she was second in the Shallow Hurdle. But once again, I'm not sure that's brilliant form. I think she is potentially very well handicapped. I don't think it's much more open than the market would suggest. I think Peking Rose, I'm not sure, the form hasn't taken much of a boost his win at Aintree, but is it he or she? But his Aintree bumper form was very good. But I'm like you, Sam. I like Lord Baddesley. I think if you look back to the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury last year, the winner, Glory and Fortune, went to finish 5th in the Champion Hurdle. The second, I Like to Move It, has just won the Greatwood by miles. The third, First Street, is favourite for the race we're going to do in a minute and was second in the County Hurdle. The form is incredibly strong, and Lord Baddesley came 4th in front of Soaring Glory and lots of good horses. And he was given a lot to do. I mean, he was 5 lengths behind them turning in. He's a funny horse. He takes a bit of knowing. His form fell apart after that. But up to 2 miles 4 on fast ground or on decent ground at Plumpton last time, he was really impressive. A good horse of Gary Moore's, Roy Amuni, who also ran well in that Betfair Hurdle. He beat him hollow. He's up in the weights. But I think he's got everything going for him. I think he's got a lot of class. He's a bit inconsistent, but if he puts his best foot forward, and I think conditions are right for him, I think he'll go well. I think West Balboa might be the danger.
Okay, yeah, Lord Baddesley and the Chris Gordon yard have been going in great guns since the start of the season. Plenty of winners, and Tom Cannon kind of at the head of the jockey table for them at the Gordon stable. But the one stable from the south that I do like at the moment, who are hitting form kills, is the Gary Moore stable. And look, we saw Goshen back to winning ways last week, and we've also seen 2 smart novice hurdlers, Authorised Speed and Gavega. Yes, they look really, really nice. But Porticello in here is only 4 years old, going on 5, and surely there's plenty more to come from this horse.
Well, I mean, I actually thought the 4-year-olds were poor last year, other than maybe Vauban. I know what Pied Piper's done this season, but he hasn't had a proper race yet. And Porticello wants bad ground, so I wonder whether he'll even run, because that, he just looks like he wants bad ground. I have actually backed Gary Moore's other one though. I think he's a massive, massive price for a complete outsider who never ran a single bad race last year. Imphal ran 9 times last year, never finished out of first 4, won 4 times. Saved the best for last, went second to Antayer in the Stayers Hurdles Series final at Haydock. Now, that winner came out the other day and ran a brilliant third to two of probably the best handicap hurdlers around in Shoot First and Botox Has at Cheltenham. Botox has already come out and won the big race at Haydock the other day. The question mark is he's dropping back to 2.5 miles. But he was such a progressive horse last year, and the fact that we've got so many horses that are unexposed in here, and the market's focusing on them, they've completely ignored a horse that never ran a bad race last year and was totally progressive. So I've backed him. I've also had a couple of quid each way on Red Risk, because he's got some big numbers in relation to his handicap mark first time out. And this is one of these races that sometimes you get a really good horse in it. Champ won it a few years ago, but the last 3 years have been won by totally exposed horses, and the market has got it wrong. So they're the 2 I've taken a chance on, but I'm quite keen on Imphal at a price. Like you said, Gary Moore's in cracking form, 20% strike rate in the last fortnight.
He is indeed, and looking at the prices there, they come on screen. Imphal 40-1, and I think Red Risk was 33-1 there. So each way plays for kills. David, it looks a fairly strong handicap hurdle, this, doesn't it?
Yeah, really interesting to hear Kills there put up the 2 outsides of the field. We are 4 places each way, so again, there's the extra place each way. The one I like is Lord Baddesley. We've heard all about him, as you said, the Chris Gordon yard in great form. Tom Cannon riding really well, actually. Anyone saw him, and it might seem a strange thing to say, he gave a horse a really good ride that was beaten a long way, but the ride he gave the Widowmaker today to finish second behind Paint the Dream, I thought was a top-class ride. He's in great form. Chris Gordon's in great form. That Betfair Hurdle form has worked out brilliantly. He won't mind good ground. I think 7-1, he ticks a lot of boxes.
Okay, so Kills 2 each way plays in the race for you?
Yeah, Imphal's the one I'm most interested in, but I have had a couple of quid each way Red Risk as well.
There you go. Tom, Lord Baddesley for yourself?
Yeah, Lord Baddesley for me, please, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be Lord Baddesley for me. And David, you're also going to be with Lord Baddesley?
A third vote for Lord Baddesley.
There we go. 4 places there in the 155. Moving on now to the 230 at Newbury. It's the Coral Bet Bundles Intermediate Handicap Hurdle, Class 1 over the extended 2 miles here. And Picard's the 11-4 favourite. First Street 3-1. Theatre Glory and Teddy Blue 4-1. Then we've got a big jump to the rest, to a 12-1 and bigger. Kills, am I right in saying that you put First Street up in the weekend a much bigger price, been well backed now?
Yeah, it's been well backed. I mean, but Venetia Williams had J-Lo in, who had won on Sunday at Exeter, and the bookmakers put him in pretty short, and I always thought it was a doubt that he would run because the ground was going to be a lot faster, and it was a quick turnaround for an ex-French horse who was only young. And First Street was the obvious Henderson one for me, and he's won this race several times. I think he's won it 8 times in all this race in particular. And First Street, he towers over the rest of these in terms of form. That is reflected in the fact that he's got 12 stone on his back. But he was only getting what £1 from State Man in the County Hurdle, finished second, beating the length of the bit. State Man's gone up £21 since, or £23 since. First Street's £4 higher. He didn't repeat the form, went up to Grade 1 Company himself at Aintree next time, but he'd had an incredibly long season because he actually started running in the summer, and I don't think they realised how good he was. I think they were surprised at the progress he made. He was obviously bred to be on the flat. He was with Ed Walker, never raced. And then the other thing we know about it, he will not mind quick ground at all. We already know that. So yeah, I think he fully deserves to be at the top of the weights by some margin, and I think he'll be very hard to beat.
Okay, there we go. Tom, 8 runners in here, so we've got a dead 8, 3 places. Is there anything potentially at a price that tickles the fancy here?
I thought Paul Nicholls' horse down the bottom was fit and well and could hit the frame. I think First Street is the class in the race, and it's not even close, really. He's a proper top-class hurdler, in my opinion. He wouldn't be surprised to be running in grading races and winning them as the season went out. Big fan of Golden Horns. As Kealy says, ground won't be a problem. I thought he was a bit unlucky not to win the County Hurdle, actually. I know Kealy was on him that day. I thought this sort of things conspired against him a bit, and State Man got the run up the rail and everything, and he was cutting him back at the line. I think he's different. He was another one that came to the trials day the other day, and he worked really well with some really good horses. I think he might have been in the gallop with Champ. So, people say that's 3 miles. This is 2 miles. Champ could, we know how good he is over any trip, really. So I think First Street's the class of this race. I think down the bottom, I'd give Brevatina a chance. And I know spoke to the owners of Teddy Blue a few at a preview last year, and they were very keen on that horse being a good horse one day. I wonder if they are targeting the Betfair Hurdle later in the season. It'd be the sort of race Gary Moore would be looking at with him. He's got a lot of ability too. So I think First Street would win. If you ask me for the Dangerous Teddy Blue, and Paul Nicholls, his horse might screep into the frame down the bottom, but I don't think she's good enough to win.
There we go, First Street, the one to beat for Tom. And David Stevens, I think we've actually got a price boost in this race, have we?
We have. Nicky Henderson, obviously a strong hand here, and Nicky to win this race was 5-4, out to 7-4. Pycar is just holding on to favouritism at the moment, but not certain to start favourite with First Street popular also. I thought the one was interesting. And Kills, forgive me if I'm chucking you a curveball here, but if you can get any Nicky Richards stats up. But he sends down Paris Encore at a double-figure price. How many runners would Nicky Richards have had at Newbury in the last 5 seasons?
Right. OK, well, give me 2 minutes and I'll have that for
Thank
you
you
later in the show, yeah?
We'll talk amongst ourselves there. But he won on good ground at Wetherby recently. So, again, quick ground here shouldn't bother him. I just thought it was interesting at a double-figure price that Nicky Richards was bringing one down here. And at some point before the end of the show, Kills will be able to tell us if that's relevant or not.
There we go, yeah. Paris Encore is currently, 12-1 currently in the race. If you want to go on that price boost, you're going to be playing with First Street and Fear to Glory there. So, look, they're 4-1 and 3-1 there on screen. So, yeah, if you think either of them will win, 7-4 boosted from 5-4. It's a confirmed selection. So, Tom, you're going to be with First Street here, yeah?
I won't be backing First Street, but I do think he's the class in the race, undoubtedly.
Right, OK. David, who are you going to be with?
First Street obviously has that Betfair Hurdle form, which I do like. We spoke about in the previous race well, but let's just wait and see what we find out about Nicky Richards before I put up Paris Encore each way.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Kills.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Who's the selection, Kills? You're going to be a First Street in that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a First Street man. Move on to the next one and I'll be with you.
We'll move on to the next one. We'll discuss the big race, and we'll have plenty of discussion about this, which is the 305. It's the Coral Gold Cup, 3.25 miles, the trip here. Look, this has been won by some great, especially in the last 15 years, the likes of Native River, Many Clouds, Bobsworth, Denman, all big names. So it can throw up a proper quality chaser from time to time. I wouldn't say that we're going to be getting it here, but look, Lemelos is 13-2 favourite, Jericho Rock 7-1, Remastered 15-2, Bustleton and Oscar Elite 17-2, 3 under through 5 and Fiddler on the Roof. They're sitting at around 8-9-1. And look, there's only one place to start here, and it'd be with you, David, because the Coral Ambassador, Tom Scudamore, I think if he goes and wins this race, will be the winning most jockey of this race. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. He's currently tied with, I think, his 3 wins in the race. Tom obviously does his blog for us, which is available to read. But he was asked, we asked him, obviously, he had the choice between Jericho Roque and Remastered. He said was no choice for him to make. He's always had Jericho Roque in mind for this. Been looking forward to him all summer, he said. He then did sort of slight caveat that he was a bit disappointed with the way he finished his race at Aintree. The race, of course, won by Remastered, but not disappointed enough to give up in this horse. So, yeah, Tom, fantastic record in it. Really looking forward to it. Just in terms of the market, I mean, it's been fascinating just this week alone. I mean, on Monday, Corach Rambler was 5-1 favourite. It's now out to 9-1. Remastered has had a go at favouritism. Jericho Roque has had a go at favouritism. And Lamilos currently is. Now, we're 5 places each way, of course, in this race. And I think so. You can make a case, as I'm sure the chaps will, for plenty. But yeah, in terms of Tom Scudamore, for him, it was no contest. It was always going to be Jericho Roque.
Yeah, look, I've got Byron Galt here in the chat saying Nicky Richards 0 from 18 at Newbury. Is that right?
Well, I only had 0 from 4 in the last 10 years. So, yeah, so try again, Dave.
Yeah, it's not looking great, Dave, that.
First Street was the tip in the previous race.
It was excellent filling anyway, Dave.
Thank you.
Tom, look, I'm sure you've had a real strong look at this race. Last year we had a Clap de Rear in here who was going to be that potential Gold Cup contender, but it didn't quite happen. We haven't really got that in this race this year, so it becomes more open. Who do you like?
I think it's impossible, Sam. Look at the market down the side there. You got half the field between 13-2 and 9-1. You got another 3 at about between 10 and 12-1. I think it's, if it was a greyhound race, you'd be saying that's impossible. I'd leave it alone. I think it's impossible. I could have 5 stabs and I probably still wouldn't have the winner. Obviously, that's not my prerogative. I will have a crack at it. But I mean, the only thing I'd say is I don't know what race Tom Scudamore was watching at Aintree last time, but if he, blimey, Jericho Rock was miles behind Remastered, wasn't he? Now, they must be doing something different at home for him to have chosen Jericho Rock over Remastered, but it was a no contest at Aintree, so he's off the list straight away. Jericho Rock, can't have him after that run. Lamilos won in bottomless ground against really strong, really slow horses at Bangor last time. He's got a penalty in a much different grade. He's off the list. The fact that Tom Scudamore doesn't want to ride Remasters gets him off the list. And then Fiddler on the Roof couldn't win last year in a sort of moderate races. Is he going to win? Corach Rambler was horrible at Carlisle. I really love him as a horse. Thought he was brilliant at Cheltenham. But can you back him on the back of Carlisle? No. So the ones on that first page there, I thought Bustleton, Oscar Elite, and 300 through 5 were the most likely ones. Those were the ones at the shorter prices I would be more interested in. Bustleton's only a 5-year-old. I can't remember the last 5-year-old that won this race, but wouldn't be sleeping on that Munster national form. Hewick, I wasn't sure Hewick was going to beat him. There are upsides at the last, and Bustleton stayed on strong. He's a really strong stayer. He had Durasso and some good horses behind him. He beat French Dynamite last year. If we saw how well French Dynamite run in the Paddy Power, wouldn't be sleeping on, but he's up in the weights and he might not get the race run to suit. 300 through 5, I'm reliably informed, is working very well. He likes the cheap pieces. I'm not sure he's that well handicapped on what he's shown. If you go back to his Albert Bartlett form, he was a long way behind Oscar Elite in the Albert Bartlett, and yet he's a good chaser and he's a strong stayer, but I think I'd probably side on that page there with Oscar Elite. I just thought that he ran very well over hurdles last time in a race he couldn't win. He was 3rd in the Ultima behind Corach Rambler and Jericho Rock last year. But if you watch the race, he didn't leave the outside the whole way around. He must have travelled about 4 or 5 lengths further than anything else in the race, and he was only beaten ahead by Jericho Rock at the line. I'm a massive Harry Cobden fan. I think he's as good as any jockey riding, so I love the fact that he's riding him. So he'd be the one of those at the top of the list. But as I say, it's really wide open, so I gave a chance to all those. And Sam, for example, is a massive fan of Ansam as a horse. I just don't think Newbury will be his track. I think he wants to go the other way around. I think he jumps out to his right. I think Ascot and Sandown and places like that where we see the best of them. But at a huge price, Sam, I give the top weight a chance, Fanion d'Estraval, simply because he's a Newbury horse. He loves Newbury. He's like what we were talking earlier with Zanza, and we saw with Paint the Dream. 2 handicaps at Newbury. He's won them both on the bridle. He's a Grade 1 horse. He was beaten 2 lengths by Fakir Destraval in the Ascot Chase last year. Watch the race again. He made up 10 lengths on Fakir Destraval up the home straight. I think he's crying out for 3 miles. And I think he'll stay 3 miles too really well. Venetia won it last year. Houblon des Obo was second to Many Clouds off top weight a few years back. He's only a little horse, but he's got Lucy Turner on taking 5 off. So he's not giving that much weight, if any, to some of the other ones at the top of the weights. He's got top class form. So I give him a chance. I give him a shot off top weight. Lucy Turner rode Chambard to win the Kim Muir for Venetia last year. She's a very good jockey. Not worried about her at all. And I think he's just too big. I think he's just too big a price. He's got some really classy form, that horse. And, with the £5 coming off, I can't see any reason he should be 25 to 1. He wasn't that. He was a similar price against Allaho the other day. And now he's running against, horses. It's not a great race. And so he'd be on my list too. So my 2 would be Oscar Elite and Fanny and Destraval, but it's really difficult.
Yeah, case made for plenty of runners there from Tom. And he mentioned last year's winner, won by Venetia Williams, and the owner was the late Trevor Hemmings. And I went back and did my research and watched last year's show, and I believe you backed the wrong Trevor Hemmings. I think you put up Cloth Cap. So let's make amends this year and let's find the winner, Kills. Who wins it?
Right. Well, it's funny how you go through different processes of looking. Tom said, you could put any number and not get the winner. But I went through the exact same process as he went through. I threw out all the horses that he's thrown out. I came down to Oscar Elite and 3 under through 5 as those at the head of the market and chose 3 under through 5. And I came down to Fanny and Destraval and Lost in Translation as the outsiders and chose Lost in Translation. So they were all on my shortlist. 3 under through 5, I can take the handicapping point. I just think he's a professional. He just wins. He's won 9 times. I think the flat track will suit him. He'll stay forever. He'd be up there, somewhere out of trouble. I can, easily see something with probably a bit better treated going past him. I can see that, but I just think he's a rock solid, especially with the extra places. He'll just be in the frame. I can't see why he wouldn't be. And he likes decent ground as well. So, I think he'll run well. I've backed him. I'm really hopeful for Lost in Translation. This is a horse that was rated 173 a few years ago, finished 3rd in the Gold Cup, dual Grade 1 winner over 3 mile plus. Now, he was being prepared for the Grand Sefton because he skipped round the Grand National fences like he'd been doing it all his life last year. And, he only ran out of stamina after 3 out. And that was off a mark of 157. Got beat a long way in the end, but he would never have stayed 4 mile, even as a 7 or 8 year old, let alone a 10-year-old. But, he didn't run in that because they thought the ground would be too soft. It actually turned out to be not that bad, but they didn't even enter him at the 5-day stage. He was then due to run in a vets race at Sandown, and then that meeting got abandoned because the heavens opened. So this is very much Plan C. But he arrives at Newbury on a mark of 150, which is £10 lower than he started last season. He started last season with a Grade 2 win in the 1965 chase. And, he's really, really well handicapped on old form. He goes very, very well fresh. He's got some form round here. He probably would have won a good novice chase if he hadn't broken a fence close home a couple of years ago. But he is generally a very, very good jumper. He's got Freddie Gingell taken off 7 now. I know Tom's tipped another one with a Claymore. Claymores don't have great records in big handicaps these days. But they're both very capable. And Lost in Translation is very straightforward. He's going to travel. He should jump. And it all depends on how good he is now at the age of 10. But this is a smaller field than usual. The maximum is 24. We're down to 16 already. Last time there was a small field, it was a proper small field. That time was when Size in Tennessee won for the Tizzards, age 10, the first 10-year-old to win since 1981. And so I just give him, I think I'd give him a big chance. It'd be interesting to see what the trainer says about them. But yeah, I do like his chances. I do like his chances quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, there's quite a few people in the chat, actually. Simon O'Neill says Lost in Translation. Tom Leach likes Lost in Translation and Offworld also. He likes the other Tizzard horse, Fiddler on the Roof, in here. What do we make of Fiddler on the Roof? He's been a difficult horse to get right,
He just doesn't win enough, does he? No. He's extremely talented. I mean, it's not going to surprise you at all if he's lobbing along in 3rd or 4th, jumping 3 out, is it? Like, you know what I mean? But getting your head in front and actually winning is another matter altogether for him.
Absolutely. Tom, I just want to quickly mention a horse in here I quite like is Our Power, who matches plenty of the trends for this race. I think currently 10 to 1 on screen, but Look, he was quite impressive at Ascot the last day, and I could see potential improvement from this horse.
Yeah. I mean, he flew home at Kempton the time before. I backed him in the Ultima last year. I was a little bit disappointed with his finishing effort, actually. I thought coming to 2 out, I thought he had a massive chance, but he didn't quite see it out as well as some of the others. He looked an improved performer at Ascot. Do I see him? Yeah, he's got a chance. He's definitely got a chance. I mean, he's another one in there in the same bracket as all the other ones, isn't he? I personally think there'll be a couple that might be a little bit better handicap than him, but he's in form. He's got a good trainer, good jockey. Can see where you're coming from, Sam, for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of cases to be made about a lot of these runners. And David, look, we've got the hour-long price boost on the screen at the moment, but I think we've actually got another price boost for this race, haven't we?
Yes, of course. Colin Tizard, a two-time winner of this race. Joe, obviously desperate to get his name on the Roll of Honour. Goes with a trio here. Tom's obviously made the case for Oscar Elite. Lost in Translation, I mean, that would be some story. Freddie riding for his uncle. So one-time place in a Gold Cup, this horse. Joe says he goes well fresh. He'll like the good ground. So, I mean, not without a chance. Huge day, obviously, for Freddie. We sort of said to Joe, obviously, again, he does a blog for us. We said, look, we had to push you to one of the three. And he said, I'd find it very hard. But at the weight, I'd probably plump for Oscar Elite. But Fiddler on the Roof is very well as well. Obviously, bidding to go one place better than last week. So Joe Tizard to win the Coral Gold Cup was 3-1, is now 4-1. And so you'll get Oscar Elite, Lost in Translation, and Fiddler on the Roof.
There we go. And just confirm your selection for us, David, in the race.
I really liked Bustleton, the Joseph O'Brien horse. Unexpected. Can't remember the last time a 5-year-old won this, but
that's because there hasn't been one.
No.
There we go.
Try again, Dave.
No. They always said that Sadler's Wells could never sire a Derby winner, and he ended up siring a couple. So anyway, stats are there to be broken. I thought he was just interesting. I don't think he'll have any problems going the extra almost 2 furlongs, and we've seen how these Irish horses clean up these races over here.
There you go, Bustleton for the Joseph O'Brien team for David there. Tom, confirm your selection for us?
Yeah, they don't clean up in handicap chases, though, do they? Apart from the Grand National, obviously, which they clean up. But they don't have a very good record at Cheltenham and in this race. So I like Bustleton, but I'd be against him. I'd go for Oscar Elite and Fanion d'Estruval would be my two.
Oscar Elite and the top weight Fanion d'Estruval for Tom. And Keels, your selection will be?
Yeah, 300 through 5 and each way Lost in Translation.
There we go. Right, let's move on to the final race that we're going to be previewing from Newbury then, which is the Coral Get Closer to the Action Handicap Chase, a Class 2 chase over 2 miles, half a furlong. And Amarillo Sky, 6-4 favourite here. Be interesting to see what Joe Tizard said about that one. We'll get the thoughts from David in a second. Only Money is 5-1. Bundoran, 11-2. Claire Dene is 6-1. Monsieur Lecoq is 9-1, and double figures bar these. Yeah, David, look, we'll start with you because you've obviously spoken to Joe Tizard earlier in the week. This has got to be one of his better chances on the card.
Yeah, look, it's always a big weekend for them, this. So he's only gone up 4 for winning at Cheltenham. He's got Newbury form, good ground. Look, I think they're very, very hopeful that he will follow up, and he has been backed accordingly into currently 5-4.
Okay, yeah, look, he's a short price here, and I'd say Kills, look, game was anything the last time at Cheltenham, wasn't he? 2 mile handicap.
Yeah, he got a very easy lead. I mean, I think the price is based around the Newbury factor again, because he gagged up here in February, and if he hadn't have fallen in January, he'd have done the same again. So, you know, he's got that in him, but it's 6-4. I'm not, you know, I'm not remotely enthusiastic about backing him at that sort of price. I've actually backed Only Money each way. I thought he was quite a good third to Gunsight Ridge at Aintree last time because the ground went against him. This is a proper good ground horse. And he'd won his previous 2 races by 8 lengths and 10 lengths very easily. They're not this sort of level, it has to be said. So, I mean, it is a different class that he's going into, really. But I think he did well enough against Gunsight Ridge and ground that was against him last time. And I think there's quite a few of these others that don't want the ground that bad. Eclair Dane, I mean, if you put Only Money and Eclair Dane in a match bet, I would have Only Money all day long because that wants it an absolute bog. Monsieur Lecoq, I'm not quite sure him at all at the moment now. So yeah, I think Only Money's got a cracking chance of beating the Fav, who's just too short.
Okay, Paul Kealy taking on the favourite Amarillo Sky with Only Money. I'll say currently 5-1 on your screen there. Tom, are you keen to take on this favourite?
Well, the price is, yes. I'm a big fan of the horse. Loved him last year when he won here. But he gets very low at his fences, doesn't he? I mean, he whacked a couple at Cheltenham. He fell here the time before. Sixth, I think Dave said he was 5-4 now. That's penny short enough for me. I get only money. I was going to be, when I looked at the race earlier in the week and the rain was bucketing down, I thought I'd be on Van Doren, but I am worried about him. I think he's 11-year-old now, isn't he? I think he ran really well. He goes well fresh, and he was second to Magic Saint off him. I don't know, 10 or so pound higher mark here, not in this race not long ago. He's definitely handy. I mean, he's off the same mark as when he won at Doncaster last year. He ran second to a good horse, Gunside Ridge at Sandown. But I'm just wondering that he wants soft ground. So I sort of left the race alone. But like Keels, I'd be playing each way against Amarillo Sky. Probably only money, but I'm not sure. It's a tricky one.
Okay, very tentative selection for Tom Segal there, only money potentially each way. And David Stevens, the final race of the Coral Gold Cup Festival, who are you going to be with?
I will stick with Amarillo Sky. It is 6-4, not 5-4. I need to get a stronger pair of glasses.
So yeah, Amarillo Sky for David. Only money for yourself?
Only money for me, yep.
Only money. And Tom, tentative, but only money for you potentially?
Yeah, probably only money, but I'll be watching football probably at 3:45, whenever it is.
Yeah, there's plenty of sporting action going on over the weekend. Let's head up to Newcastle then, shall we, just for a couple of races. And we'll start off with the Fighting Fifth Hurdle, where we see the return of Constitution Hill. 7-2 on favourite, Epatante 4-1, Not So Sleepy 14-1, Tommy's Oscar at 25-1, and Voix de Rev is 125-1. Let's talk about Constitution Hill. Obviously, there was plenty said about this horse last weekend getting pulled out, along with Long Press, who we'll move on to in a second. But it's exciting to see this horse back. I mean, up against Epatante and Not So Sleepy, they're dead heated in this last year. It is a test for him.
It's a bigger test than last week would have been, but I mean, let's face it, he's got an official rating of 170. Epatante is 154, getting £7. Not So Sleepy, 158. Got to prove he's still capable of that too. Probably is, to be fair, because he ran so well in the says. But end of the day, you know, Constitution Hill was so dominant at Cheltenham. You've got to think it's a good thing. You know, he wouldn't be the only horse to win a Supreme Novices Hurdle by miles, but he's definitely the only one that did so in a time that was so outstanding by comparison to the Champion Hurdle. And so, you know, we hope that he is the real deal. I'd let him go and win at 2-7. But I tell you what, I'd rather back him at 2-7 than I would Epatante at 2-5 in the betting without.
Oh.
I think she needs a real test at 2 mile these days. I don't think last year's dead heat with Not So Sleepy, who should have won the race, if he hadn't made a mistake last, he would have done. I don't think that form or the Glory and Fortune Christmas Hurdle form is anything for the others to be afraid of. So I'm going to take her on in the without market. I can see the case for Not So Sleepy, but I think Tommy's Oscar is still a really, really good horse. And I think he ran really well against Banbridge, who I think is a top-class novice chaser at Cheltenham last time. And B, I don't think Cheltenham's his course. He likes his flat tracks, bit of cut in the ground. He travels well. He's got a bit of pace. So I'm gonna take a chance on him in the without market to turn over Epatante. But let's hope that Constitution Hill is the champion that we all seem to want him to be.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants to see. We want to see both Honeysuckle and Constitution Hill get to Cheltenham in March.
And State Man, don't rule him out.
State Man, should we quickly discuss that? Because State Man,
he's rated 164 now, and he bolted up the other day. He's obviously very, very good. So, you know, let's not, you know, at 164, there's only £6 below Constitution Hill now. You know, I mean, he's a very, very good horse. I'm sure Tom agrees.
Yeah, it's become an interesting market, the Champion Hurdle market, and I'm sure Constitution Hill, Tom's only going to shorten if kind of hosing up in this. But look, like Kill said, it is exciting to see him back. Would you be playing without market or not?
No, it's not my cup of tea really. But I'm not as negative about Epatante as Keels is. I think David and I were at a lunch yesterday in London, and I did bump into Nicky Henderson, and he did say, "Don't rule out the filly. She is flying." And so I wouldn't be as negative. I don't think he was by any stretch of the the world thinking that she could beat a Constitution Hill, but I think she's going to run really well tomorrow. So that has been her target. It wasn't Constitution Hill's target. So I think she'll be second. I do think she'll be second, but I think Constitution Hill will win. Tommy's Oscar, I would prefer to Not So Sleepy, despite the fact that Not So Sleepy is undoubtedly one of the craziest horses I've ever watched in my life. I think he's awesome. Just on the flat and over hurdles and whatever he does, he's just bonkers. But I think he's absolutely brilliant. So I'm a massive fan of his. But I think he'll struggle to beat the two Henderson horses who I think Constitutional Hill will win and beat Epatante. But as Gil said, State Man is in there as well. Don't anyone rule him out.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it started the season with that battle between the two, but State Man thrown his hat into the ring. David, look, it's exciting to see this horse back, and like we say, we were just hoping he gets to Cheltenham in fine form.
Yeah, just touching on the Champion Hurdle betting, first of all, he's 5-4 favourite, 7-2 the dual winner Honeysuckle, and then it is 4-1 State Man. James Knight and the Coral compilers really, really impressed with State Man, and very much making it a 3-horse race now for that Champion Hurdle. In terms of tomorrow, yeah, I'm in agreement with Tommy. I think Epatante, let's not forget, this has always been her starting point. Obviously Constitution Hill was supposed to go to Ascot last weekend for the Coral Hurdle, whereas Epatante has always been planned for this one. So I'm sure she will be fit and ready to run for her life in the McManus Silks. But yeah, let's hope Constitution Hill is as good as the betting here suggests, the betting for that Champion Hurdle suggests, and we've only had to wait an extra week for him, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, excited to see him back tomorrow. So, Kills, you're going to play in Tommy's Oscar without Constitution Hill?
Yeah, I'm going to play without. I'm not going to have a massive play at all, but I just think that I've got no problem with Epatante. I think she's very good. I just think at 2 miles she needs a real strong gallop now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom and David, you're both in agreement with Epatante potentially finishing second to the short price favourites. Let's move on to the final race we'll look at from Newcastle, which is the Rehearsal Handicap Chase at 3:25. They're 3 miles the trip for this Class 1 event. And Long Press, the Brown Advisory winner, is your 6-4 favourites here. Into Overdrive 4-1. I Write 9-2. Happy Go Lucky is 11-2. Dingo Dollar is 9-1, and double figures bar these. I spoke to you early in the week, Kills, and you were very keen to talk about this race. I mean, are you looking to take on Long Press here?
Well, it's one of those where I was looking at it and I think, I really want to take him on. Part of me wants to take him on. The other part of me wants him to hack up and develop into a proper Gold Cup contender for Britain. I mean, I loved him last year, and I know Tom did too. They're making noises about checking the ground, etc., because it's dried out, good to soft all over this morning, and a dry night is coming. I don't know whether they're putting on water tonight or not. I didn't look. So interested to see whether they do. It's a big ask. There's only 2 horses in the last 6 years that have won off a rating that high. Grenadine and Frodon. It's enough to do first time out. If he is a Gold Cup horse, you'd like to think he'd be going close, but let's not forget, Long Run got beaten over mark 158 on his first outing of the season. It's not going to be a disaster either. They want to get a run into him, and so I don't see what's wrong with I Write. He won the race last year. He goes from the front. He jumps well. He could beat them all off again. Happy Go Lucky was a really, really progressive chase a couple of years ago. Finished second in the Ultimate, then absolutely bolted up at Aintree, and he's only £2 higher now because he's had this big absence. He's another one who wants the ground very soft, according to the trainer, but I'm not sure that's 100% true. I think there's enough good horses in here against him, and Into Overdrive keeps winning. Although I thought he was coming at the end of his tether and started making mistakes last time at Wetherby, and might just find this a class too far. But I'm going to watch the race rather than bet on it. I'd probably just favour I Write if you really push me.
Okay, I Write potentially each way being pushed for a bet in that. Tom, I know you're a big fan of this horse. You like this horse for the Gold Cup in March. It's safe to say he's got to be winning this probably to be a proper Gold Cup contender.
No, not necessarily. I mean, I'm going to say this really quietly because I don't want to get the sponsors of the Coral Gold Cup too cross, but I think this is the best staying chase of the day. I think it's a really, really cracking race. You got Long Press, you got I Write, you got Happy Go Lucky, who was second in an Ultima. They're all better than the top weight in the Coral Gold Cup. I think it's a really, really good race. I hope they all turn up. It's a race I'm most looking forward to tomorrow, and I love Long Press, but he hasn't got it easy. He definitely hasn't got it easy. I think this track will suit him really well. I think he's better left-handed. I don't care what anyone says. I know he won at Sandown, but I think he's better left-handed. I think this track will suit him really well. I hope he wins. I think he'll win, but it's not going to be easy because I Right's very good. Happy Go Lucky was like brilliant at Aintree, I thought. He absolutely tanked through that race and through the Ultima. We saw Dingo Dollar. I think he'll probably be a bit slow for this, but Enter Overdrive just keeps winning. I'm not so sure he was... I read the comments after he won the other day, and Mark Wolford was saying he didn't think he was going to win. He thought he needed the race. He's completely surprised he did win. He's won over 3 miles before. He keeps winning and he keeps getting better. If Long Press can give him all that weight, I think it'll be a monster performance, and it certainly won't put him out of Gold Cup reckoning if he gets beat. But I love him and I hope he wins, and I think it's a really, really good race.
Okay, yeah, good race according to Tom Segal. David, opinions on this one, hoping that Long Press goes and does the business?
Yeah, look, I credit to them. If he lines up carrying top weight in a handicap, it's great to see these good horses do it. He's a 10-1 shot for the Gold Cup at the moment. I don't think the Gold Cup dream's over if he gets beat. And if he can give the best part of 2 stone to Into Overdrive, then he deserves to be much shorter for the Gold Cup. I like Into Overdrive. I thought he did it nicely last time, and up another £6 might not be enough to stop him. And as I say, he does get a huge chunk of weight from the favourite.
Okay, Kill, selection in the race for you if being pushed?
Yeah, just about I Right to repeat last year's win, I think.
Okay, I Right for Kills. Tom, selection for the race?
I'd marginally I just want Long Press to win, but I do think Into Overdrive is a really big danger.
Okay, potentially Into Overdrive, the danger against Long Press. And David, for yourself?
Into Overdrive for me, Sam.
There we go. And there's plenty of chat going on the chat box here. Jet Powered, loads of talk about this horse. If you do want to back this horse, currently best price with Coral, 8-1 for the Supreme Novice Hurdle if you really fancy that horse. So yeah, do check that one out. There we go. That's all the action out of the way. And before we go, we better get the naps of the weekend. And we'll start with you, Kills. What's the nap?
Yeah, just because it's a massive price, I'm going to take a flyer and go with Imphal in the 155. I have this feeling that this isn't going to be as good a handicap as people think it is.
Okay, Imphal was around 40-1 when we were previewing the race. Whether that horse has been backed, I don't know. Tom, your nap?
Well, I don't think you can nap Zanza, really, can you? Keels has just...
that was my other option. I had to jump off him, so...
Keels has just nicked the race that I wanted to nap in. So I've ended up in the Coral Gold Cup, and I think the top one, Fanny and Destradar, might run into the frame, definitely, or maybe even better.
Okay, Fanny on Destradar, another big prize potentially in the Coral Gold Cup. And David Stevens, your best bet for tomorrow?
Very quickly, Imphal is just clipped into 33-1 as a result of Kills putting it up. I was going to nap Amarillo Sky, but that's shockingly poor price compared to what the two boys have put up. So I'll go slightly bigger, Into Overdrive in that last race up there at Newcastle.
Right, okay. Just quickly, we'll just quickly discuss the weekend ahead. Are you off to Newbury tomorrow?
I am indeed, yeah.
Oh, looking forward to it. It should be a great day.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoy it. It'll be really good. It's really good racing in the next couple of weeks leading up to Christmas. We've got the Tingle Creek after the following week. I'll be there as well. So yeah, can't wait.
Okay, Tom, plans for the weekend?
Watching basketball as usual. My son plays basketball every weekend all over the country. So I don't know where I'm driving to tomorrow, but I'll be there. That's for sure.
Yeah. And David, looking forward to tomorrow's big sponsored meeting.
Yeah, very much so. Always been one of the highlights of the pre-Christmas period for me. And just very quickly, there is a little football match coming up. 2-1 on England, 7-1 the USA, 3-1 the draw. Come on, England.
There we go. Yeah, plenty of people after this are going to be putting their feet up and watching the Three Lions. Before we go, a quick reminder again, it is Black Friday. We've still got that special offer on the Racing Post Members Club Ultimate subscription for racing fans. Get unlimited access to the Racing Post digital newspaper. 9 p.m. every evening, you get that with the exclusive tools to help with your form study. You can subscribe today. You haven't got long left with the code BLACK22 and pay just £10 a month for your first 3 months. So do check out the link in the description for that one. We will be back next week, or Ross will be back next week with a preview of the Tingle Creek meeting from Sandown. Big thanks, as always, to Paul Kealy, Tom Segal and David Stevens. Put your feet up, watch the Three Lions, and good night.